I hope there's more verses between Homura and Kohaku. I need it more. Hey guys, welcome back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Shinry. Here at the Everything Anime Podcast, talk about everything from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, and whatever relevant topic I talk about. Today's video is on Dr. Stone. I think it's chapter 60 to 70 or something like that. I'll have to double check the numbers. Anyways, if you don't know, I have never read Dr. Stone in my life. I've never seen the anime. This is my first introduction to Dr. Stone, and I've been loving it so far. So everything that I've been reading and watching, everything I've been reading has been new to me. Hopefully it's new to you, or if you're already a fan, you can see some of my excitement through reading through these chapters. So anyways, when we last left off is Dr. Stone had got this, they called it a time capsule that was given to him by his father before he passed away, and it's actually like a disc. It's a CD record that plays music, and the whole village is currently in awe by this. So like, how can sound be captured on this like small disc? And Senku goes into an explanation about like how it works and things like that, and of course it goes over our heads. It is kind of simple, but he says like his dad probably didn't come up with this idea. It was probably somebody else, and then, like, he just kind of took credit for it, or like he came up with the idea but he didn't know how to do it. And we then go into a flashback of Senku's dad and his friends, and they're like using everything they have at the time to make the record. So first he takes a glass end of a jar because he says it'll preserve better over time. One of them uses their wedding ring as like what was the ring ring for? I don't know what they were speaking for, but then his dad uses his electric razor blade, and together they make a record, which in present day Senku does in reverse so they can play the music or play whatever was on that disc. So what did Senku's father want to say to his son? Well, first thing he wanted to say is that he believes in him. He's like, I know that you are going to find this. I know that you're going to probably survive somehow in this new stone age, whatever's going on. I know you're going to make it out of this. But when you get out of this and you wake up, I want you to know that I miss... He's about to say, I miss you, but he's like, no, you're way too mature for that. You don't care to hear that I miss you. He tells his son, listen, when you wake up, if the people of that new era don't want to listen to you, have them listen to this. And it's music, of course. And so his wife, Lillian, sings for them. And everyone in the village is awed by her voice because back in present day, she was a famous singer, kind of like Beyonce in that kind of way. And not only is everyone awed by her music, but Senku's dad knew would inspire the people of the village, because like even in present day, like we're always like, to this day, you know, we're singing songs by ourselves, or, you know, singing in the car on the radio. We're all drawn to music. It kind of draws us together and brings us together. And like he's like re-inspired them to seek out like media from the past, like video games, electronics, books, escapism, music, media, like all that. It helps us escape. And Senku awes them with the idea of manga, like Dragon Ball Z, other kind of music, TV shows, movies, all things that we have in this current day and age, which like we love and we consume. And he says we can all have it back once we defeat Tsukasa's army, because Tsukasa's army don't want anything to do with technology. They're like, hey, we're survivors. We're going to make this work. And Senku's like, hey, we're going to bring all that stuff back. And so Sukiya then asks if they can sway Sukiya's army with the music, like the way they were swooned by it. She's like, oh, well, if we love this music, maybe Tsukasa's army will love it too. And Dr. Stone is like, oh, well, no. Gen argues that, like, it's pointless. Lillian was a singer from their previous time period, so like they already know who she is, and they won't be swayed by her music. Like, say, like, you know, you lost Beyonce in this time, and then you're frozen for like 20, 30 years or something like that, and you hear Beyonce's music again. You're still gonna love Beyonce's music, but you're not gonna be like, oh, this is incredible. You already know who she is. Like, what I mean is, like, they're not gonna be swayed by her because like they're familiar with her music. Like, yeah, they've been asleep for like 3,000 years, but like they're like, oh yeah, I remember her, I love this, but like they're not gonna be like, oh my god, I miss that, you know. And so but an idea forms in Gen's mind, and an idea so sinister that he wanted to keep it quiet, that he draws Senku away from the others, and he's like, hey, if this works, then like we're gonna both save the Kingdom of Science and the Kingdom of Stone, but everybody's gonna hate us. And Gen also goes to say, like, if this works, God will look down on us and send us to hell. Which Senku adds, that's just fine because God doesn't exist in science. And so I was wondering, like, what is this plan that they're going to do? What is so evil that Gen has concocted in his mind as the mentalist of the group that, like, he's like, Senku, I have an idea what we can do with this record. And it's going to be so evil that, like, God is going to look down on us and send us to hell. Like, I was like, it was an interesting point that Gen said. So Senku and Gen are talking in private, but Chrome happens to be like beneath them and he's over listening. And Gen's plan to take down Tsukasa is he's like he asks Senku like what do you think? Why do you think Tsukasa's army's with him? Is it because he's got food? Is it because he's got women, or is it Tsukasa himself? And Senku's like, duh, it's Tsukasa himself. If the answer is C. And so Gen says that there's only one way to dismantle his army is to bring someone even more iconic than he is back to life. And hilariously, Gen, when transforming into Tsukasa like he did before, then he transforms into Lillian, which like kind of made me laugh. Like, you know how like he first did that and Senku was like, that was scary how you did that, and then he turns into Lillian. But his plan is not only to look like her, but using the record of her actual voice to like make it seem like he's singing like her. And make Gen appear like he's the real deal. They believe together that, like, with this big white lie, they can convince half of Tsukasa's army, if not all of them, that, like, the world of Japan is the only one affected still by the, what do we call it? The petrification, we'll call it. And, like, you know, they'll convince everybody that, like, Lillian is alive in America. She's been revived, and that America's like, hey, we're okay. Japan's the only one left. We're on our way to coming. All you gotta do is just like stay together and hold out for us till we get there. So it's gonna buy them time to build up the Kingdom of Science as well as avoid a fight with Tsukasa's stone army if it works. And then because Tsukasa's army believes that the whole world's destroyed outside of them, which it currently is, like everything is petrified, they can corner Tsukasa into like submission without actually fighting them or causing any blood to spill. And Senku is all in on the plan without question, but hilariously Chrome, who is over listening, doesn't get it and makes himself known by smashing to the floor. And he's like, well, what would you do if Tsukasa's army found out you lied? And Sen and Genku shrug, and they're like, well, we'll be the only ones that are after at that point. Like, we're the ones that told a lie. You guys will be safe, but we'll be fine. Which is why they can't tell the rest of the village we're the only ones taking full responsibility for this plan. So, I mean, that makes sense. Like, you know, you're about to convince Tsukasa's entire army that, like, hey, Lillian's alive, the rest of the world's alive. We're the only ones in Japan that are affected by petrification. So, hey, just chill out until we come to save you. But obviously, it'll be Senku reviving everybody and eventually getting things back to normal. Which I was curious if that would work. Obviously, it wouldn't work. That'd be way too easy. But Chrome argues he's wrong. He's involved with this now too. And even though the idea sounds insane, in their minds, everyone can be saved this way. But for this plan to work, they have to build a second cell phone and plant it outside of Tsukasa's army, and then play the music for everybody to hear. Well, they'd have to get them to. They're going to plant a second cell phone over in Tsukasa's army, but they'd have to get somebody on Tsukasa's army side to, like, get people to come to the cell phone. And so they think of, like, Taiju and Yuzu, and he's like, all right, we're going to have to get this cell phone to Taiju and Yuzu somehow. And he's like, okay, Gen, you're going to be the guide. Magma, you'll be the hauler. And Chrome, you'll be the one that builds a second cell phone. Like, you can't build it here and take it because obviously we have, I think her name's Hyoga. Hold on, let me check my notes. Ooh, this is the most I would. Homura. Homura's still up in the tree, so if we build a second cell phone and then carry it over there, Homura will know what we're doing, and she'll obviously go warn Tsukasa, like, hey, they've got a cell phone, they're bringing it over here. And because she's been spying on them the entire time. And so, you know, we can't let her know that that's what we're doing. So they need to draw her attention away, even if for a brief moment, and that's when Senku creates this idea with sound bombs. It's like mixing some hydrogen, oxygen, removing it. I'm not even going to get into it because I'm like, I know how it works. But he does build, like, these sound bombs. Like, kind of sound like a bomb's going off, but it's just like explosion noises. And it works. It distracts Homura. And it allows Gen, Magma, and Chrome to like run away and get some space. But Homura ain't no fool. Like, she immediately knows something's going on. She's like, there's no way these guys are like gonna bomb me. And she goes out to investigate, but Senku and others knew this would happen. And that's why Kohaku goes in pursuit after her to like stop her from learning the plan. And you get like this like fun rivalry between. So Senku knew that Homura wouldn't easily fall for this plan, so he had Kohaku go after her. And one thing I love is the like panel where like Kohaku, it looks like she's about to like slice off Homura's neck from behind. And Homura doesn't notice her, but she's like, I feel a chill running down my spine, and she like immediately dodges her by doing like some like gymnastics. And Homura and Kohaku obviously have this like rivalry forming. Because like as Kohaku's chasing Homura, Homura's like, I can't shake her, and Kohaku's thinking like, oh, she's way too fast for me. But the way they're drawn, it's like so cool. It gives me like Ino versus Sakura vibes, but better. And because Kohaku can't keep up with Homura, she seems like she's gonna get away. But that's when Dr. Stone reveals like he had a plan of his own. He attaches a flash grenade to like the string, and he tosses it up at Homura, and it like blinds her as well as everybody else but Dr. Stone, because he has like these glasses on. And they subdue her. He doesn't want to kill Homura, but he wants to capture her so she can't escape and reveal their plan. I thought it was funny because Senku's not physically strong. We know that from the bout art. So the fact that he's the one holding her down with like wires, I thought that was pretty funny. Homura tries to use like her sex appeal on him. She's like, "Oh, why are you doing this to me?" And Senku's like, "Oh, that won't work on me, sister. I'm sorry. I'm in love with science." And I thought that was pretty funny. But then she just decides to scrape his grasp because she's like, "Oh, this guy's really weak. Like, why the hell am I like lying under him?" And she like flips him over. And then she does like this incredible gymnastics to get like a good view of the village, and she like counts and names off every single member of the village. And they're like, "How does she know our names?" And they're like, "Oh, obviously she's been watching us." So she names off everybody from the village, and she immediately realizes that Gen, Magma, and Chrome are missing. She's like, "Oh, I've been tricked," and she immediately goes to take off. And she's like comes up with like, okay, they have some kind of scientific weapon up their sleeve. Like, there's no other reason why Chrome would be missing from this group. And she assumes they're taking it back to Tsukasa's base. So she's pretty smart. And at this moment, I thought, oh shit, this is bad. Like, Homura's already figured out that like we have a weapon and we're up to something. But if Homura finds out it's specific at cell phone and gets back to Tsukasa, that's bad for us because we lose the advantage. We've had intellectual warfare over Tsukasa's army. But if she gets back, she could either destroy it or let him know, and like that's bad. The Kingdom of Science loses its entire advantage. But once again, Senku had already had another plan for this. When he grabbed Homura, he had rubbed all over her like some of that blue. I think it was like some blue jewel dust, which we got whenever like the sun had shined over that ore from before, and they basically track her down because she's leaving like a trail of light behind her, and impossible to find her without that because like she's basically everything is covered in snow and it's snowing, so even though she would leave tracks behind, the snow's going to cover it up almost immediately. But Kaseki's like, hey, even though that blue light dust will work, it only lights up for like a brief moment when the sunlight hits it, so how are you going to replicate that? That's when Dr. Stone reveals, oh, I've got a black light. Like, I'm telling you, Dr. Stone is back with like the genius writing and the creative storytelling. I love it. And as they're tracking her down, Kohaku realizes they won't capture her easily this way. She's like, isn't it just easier if we kill her? But Senku asks her, well, have you killed anyone? And Kohaku's like, no, I never have. And she's like, I know I would hesitate, but if you give me permission to do it, I know I'll go through with it. But Senku, as well as the rest of the Kingdom of Science, we already know like they're not about killing people. If they were, Tsukasa's army could easily go down with the weapons that Tsukasa had, especially the katanas they had made recently. But Senku's like, I want to do this without bloodshed, so we're going to save everyone that we can without causing any bloodshed, including to Tsukasa, which I can't wait to see how he's going to do that, because Tsukasa seems like he's crazy. Now we go over back to Gen, Chrome, Magma, and Gen, Chrome, and Magma as they begin approaching Tsukasa's base, but suddenly the phone rings, and then it stops. And Gen immediately realizes, because he's a mentalist, he's like, this is Senku trying to warn us that Homura is in pursuit of them, and she doesn't realize it yet. She doesn't realize it's a cell phone yet. So like, we still have advantage right now. We just have to play dumb. So they decide to like hold it out till night. So as night falls through, Senku realizes another plan. With them behind Homura and Gensim in front of him, they're like, if we can get her in a what's it called, a pincer trap, I think, like we can recapture her. But how are they going to communicate this about a cell phone, like without like showing that they have the cell phone? So Gen starts calling Senku by hanging up over and over again, and Senku immediately realizes he's using Morse code. And because Gen isn't our insert character in this point, it's replaced by Kohaku, who says more scientific stuff that we don't understand. Because I've been saying since the beginning of the manga, Gen has been our like insert character when we don't know things, and now Kohaku's taking that place because Gen's not there. So finally, they laid the pencil trap. Gen reveals that they indeed have a phone, and he knew that Homura would go to destroy it. She's not going to like go report that back to Tsukasa's army. It'd be faster to destroy it. So they lure her up to the top of this tree where Gen had put the cell phone. But the moment she gets out there, she realizes that like it's a trap because Gen used a sleight of hand to swap the phone out with the fake. So the moment she's up on that tree, Kenro and Genro come out of nowhere. They slice the tree down, and Homura begins to fall to her death. And as she's falling, she thinks of her last thoughts are of Hyoga. And I guess she's in love with him. I mean, I didn't get that vibe, but I guess that's like who she cares about. But before she ever hits the ground, there's this really cute like 360 moment where Kohaku leaps in and saves her out of nowhere. And you get this relief look from Homura that one, she's not about to die, but two, it comes full circle because again, I think Kohaku's gonna be her rival. Kohaku is impressed with her gymnastics and things like that. But with Homura now safe and back in capture, we recaptured Homura, and she's back to being our prisoner. Meanwhile, Gen Chrome and Magma arrive outside of Tsukasa's army, and the cell phone has arrived. We are about to begin the phase of the plan. And so we get a glimpse of this incredible stone kingdom that Tsukasa has created. It kind of gives me like the elephant graveyard from Lion King, like just how like it looks in the manga. Obviously not replica for replica, but like just how like grandiose and scary and like menacing and ominous this place looks. Now, the moment we get there, we get a glimpse of these statued humans that Tsukasa has collected, and he's lined them all up. And we get to see like each of them has a number inscribed on their forehead. The lowest we see is like 33, and the highest that I could see on the manga page was up to 117. And I knew what this meant before Gen said it. This is the order in which Tsukasa is going to revive each of these people, and it's like they're prioritized about like, you're the one I want next. You're the one that I need more. But it also means that Tsukasa already has revived 32 people to his side, which I don't know if that's including like just new people or just like in general, but like he has 32 people, period. And so Magma's like, oh, wow, these guys are who he's going to revive. Well, let's go ahead and smash them and destroy them now. But then he's like, actually, that would take too much work. Instead, let's break their arms and legs. That way they can't be of a threat to us. And Gen and Chrome give him horrified looks. And Gen's like, I agree with you from a practical standpoint. That is the best solution. Like, that would give us the advantage and weaken Tsukasa's army. But also, it's killing people that haven't done anything yet or done any harm to us yet. Like, we don't even know if they're good or bad people. They just are. Tsukasa's bringing them back. We don't even know if they're going to be, like, evil like him. And Gen even agrees that, like, this makes him weak because, like, Tsukasa, what makes him strong is that he doesn't hesitate to kill people. If you are a threat to him, he will eliminate you. And Gen's like, that's true strength. But Chrome argues that's not strength. Strength comes from... Strength is, like, being human and willing to save everyone. Like, that's where true strength comes from, like your humanity. Killing people is never like a true proof of strength. Now, they also come across a stage grave, which I was curious about who it would be. Turns out it's Senku's. I know that sounds confusing, but when Tsukasa first believed that Senku was dead, they put up a fake grave, and they put up a fake grave to convince, like, I think it was Taiju and Yuzu. They put up the fake grave of Senku to convince Tsukasa that he was dead, like, originally. Now, up to Tsukasa's knowledge, he doesn't know that Taiju and Yuzu know he's dead because he, as far as he knows, that he killed them in front of them. And then he only knows that Senku survived because of Gen being their, like, Gen being his, original spy to go check out this village, Ishigami village, and then him finding out through Hyoga and Gen revealing like, oh yeah, I was a triple agent the whole time. He knows Senku's alive now and that Gen's a liar, but he doesn't know. But because Yuju and Taiju keep visiting this grave and pretending that they think Senku's dead, it's convinced him like, okay, Senku is really dead because they keep coming here, or like they think he's dead because they keep coming here. And meanwhile, Senku jokes that it'll be like that he's communicating with his friends from the grave. And everything worked out nearly perfectly until they come across a stone while trying to bury the telephone in the ground. Magma immediately smashes it without thinking, with his incredible strength, but the sound catches the attention of an unknown bowsman in Tsukasa's army, who I had been looking forward to meeting since I had saw the Dr. Stone Wars cover, so I was curious about who he'd be. And he knows that it came from Senku's grave's direction. You're going to find out like why he knew that in a second. In fact, he even attacks Gen without even seeing him, just hearing the direction of the noise that it came from. And that's when finally Yuzu and Taiju arrive. And once they get to the grave, because they've been doing this rehearsal to visit Senku's grave every I don't know if it's like every month, but they visit every so often. Yuzu immediately knows that they're being watched, and she whispers something into Taiju's ear. And without hesitation, Taiju digs his hand into the ground, pulls out the cell phone, and I was worried. I was like, if you're being watched, why would you do that? But he did it enough, I guess, where the person can't see. And he screams into the microphone, yeah, Senku, I'm so happy. And it's a really heartfelt reunion because Dr. Stone's on the other side. He says, hey, you big oaf, or something like that. Very cute. Now we're going to end the chapter review here. I will continue the next chapters in a separate video because I feel like this was a really cool stopping point for this part of the video. But yeah, I was really excited to continue like what Yuzu and Taiju would say to each other because we find out a year has passed since they talked to each other. So, but really great chapters. I loved it. The exciting moments of Homura and Kohaku. I can feel their rivalry forming. I also loved the way they tricked her and things like that, and how she realized it was a cell phone and like immediately knew like Chrome and Magma were missing. Like she jumps in the air. She's like, yeah, I've been watching you guys this whole time. I know your names and who you are. She's like, I know who's missing. Love that. Very creative. The author of this manga is very he's I don't know what else to say. He's incredible. But yeah, I'll go ahead and end the video now so we can go ahead and start the next part of this video. So, see you guys soon. Hey guys, this video was sponsored by me, the author of the Shinry series, the Chronicles of Wayne, and Monsterverse. So I figured I'd do this outro a little bit different by showing you guys what you guys will be checking out. So, the Shinry series starts with Book 1, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. 10 years after the death of his parents, Shobu Samurai returns home seeking vengeance, but instead faces the choice to save his home from shadow creatures, blood beasts, and an organization once thought dead. Shinry's Shobu Samurai starts at $9.99. And if you love anime, manga, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Fairy Tail, Shaman King, Rave Master, Zatch Bell, anything like that, the Shinry series is definitely the series for you. You'll definitely want to check it out. The Sword of Light is probably the thickest one so far. And then these books are 2. This is Enter the Dread Zone Tournament. And the series original ending, Arado, the Legendary Conjuring Master. So, and I'll just show you guys some of the covers. Really proud of all of these. But I hope you guys check it out. If you don't like that, I also have the current published books for the Chronicles of Wayne, Love Be Damned, Cotton Candy, Full Moons, Fabled Lovers, A Cursed Virgin's Bite. If You Go Where Monsters Dance, Red will Rain Over Your House. Love Be Damned. Now, the Chronicles of Wayne is about a geeky guy, or a nerdy guy in high school. His senior year, he has a crush on the hottest guy in school, because of course he does. He's only got one best friend, and her name is Barb. Well, the hottest guy in school turns out to be a werewolf. And to make the story more interesting, he bites Wayne and turns Wayne into the first ever wolfman in the last 10 years. And because of that, it was also a sacred law that wolfmen should never be created. I don't want to get into too much of the Chronicles of Wayne without spoiling it, but I can tell you it's very short. This one sells for $6.99, and Love Decays right after it. The ending of this trilogy, Love Be Liberated, comes out in October. So I'm going to definitely do a more full in-depth review of this one. But yeah, it's an LGBT fantasy fiction story about werewolves, vampires, white witches, a dark warlock, and, well, many, many more surprises to come. So if you guys like to read, I definitely recommend. These are all the books so far in the Shinry series, except for Shinry's Beginning. I do have that one, but it's just not here with me. But yeah, I appreciate a like, support, or just a review on Amazon. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day.